Welcome to Milford-on-Sea and the edge of the New Forest. It's not completely forest all over, some of it has a lot of coastline. And this bit overlooks Christchurch Bay, which is behind me. And then this bit also separates the salt flats at Keyhaven, which is the old historic trade round here. I'm actually walking towards Hurst Castle. It goes all the way back to Henry VIII in the 1540s. His financial mismanagement and modern approach to marriage meant he'd fallen out with literally everybody, but most importantly the French and the Holy Roman Empire, well, effectively the Germans of the day, and he had to build a fort at the end of this spit. There's a very narrow section in between here and the Isle of Wight, which means they could create a crossfire by cannons just in case there was any raiding ships trying to get to Southampton or Portsmouth. We'll have a look in and around there and then have a couple of pints afterwards. Welcome to Milford-on-Sea. Welcome to the Cave. This is a wine shop and tapas bar on the edge of the green in central Milford, and it's pretty fab. It's got a great selection of wine. I mean, it's wine, wall-to-wall wine and gin, but then tucked in, it's got a nice fridge of some craft beer and a few bottles, and then a nice sort of like room temperature set of bottles as well. Lovely set of tables out the front. There's a beer garden. They are absolutely rammed because the sun's out. So I've took myself back in a corner, and we have a hotback pint of crop circle. Guinness glass, but it's fizzed out quite nicely. Hotback are based over in Salisbury, so even though at the races last week didn't see these but dust, but they're a fantastic old school brewery, and I've had this many a time. It's a lovely crisp golden ale. Cheers. Lovely, refreshing initial hit. It's really zingy, like lemony, but the lemon's quite soft. And then it sort of fades away to a lovely sort of bitter finish to it. It's really refreshing. Makes you want to go back for a bit more. That's excellent. They've got a couple of bottles from Flack's, which I've seen about as well. That's a local brewery based in Romsey. A few stuff from Mad Squirrel, and he's giving his current beer delivery at the front. So I'll see if I can show you these. But this is absolutely delicious, and just the kind of place I like when I'm mooching around. So the Cave, excellent. Cheers. Henry VIII's original concept has been to play off between France and the German Empire, Holy Roman Empire, and to achieve a position of like a third force on the continent. But once he got divorced from his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, and then subsequently beheaded Anne Boleyn, spent all of his inheritance and then started the raid on the churches. By 1538, sort of Pope Paul III excommunicated him, and Spain and France and Germany, as well as probably their allies across in Ireland and Scotland, were coming for him. Back in town. It's about an hour out to Hurst Castle and back across that spit, and because it's all gravel, it's quite a walk. So I've got quite a first. And we're in the Smugglers Inn. This is an old, it's 18th century building, but it's the old customs house. It's just got nothing to do with smugglers at all. Still people taking your money, I suppose. But cracking pub, got a really nice beer garden. I'm in the shade slightly just because I've had quite a bit of sun in the last hour. I've got a pint of Flack's double drop. 3.7% session bitter. They're based in Romsey, which is not too far from here. Been going since 2009 under the guidance of Mark Welsh, the owner, but gasping for this thing. Cheers. Oh. It's got Maris otter. It's lovely and smooth and sweet, richness to it. And then it's hopped with Sovereign, so it's got a nice sort of citrusy finish. smell that on the nose. Yeah, like a lemony orange, just lovely. It's absolutely gasping. This will go down very nicely. It's very, very well kept. Got a couple of main chainline beers on as well. Just on the edge of the main village green, and we'll be into a few others soon. But Smugglers in, pretty good. Cheers. Hurst Castle was, or might still be, the largest coastal fort going. This is the original sort of folly keep, built by Henry VIII. Sits in the middle of all the Second World War editions. Have a look inside. Inside, definitely military comfort. The throne's just been put there just for the sake of it, but it all rolls around this central staircase. Classic sort of circular design of the time. Welcome to the Wash House, which is an independent micro bar. It's been in Milford since 2017. They have a regular rotation of beers. They do have one that they specific to here, which is by Brewery, which isn't on at the minute. So I've gone for a Fiddlehead. This is by Hattie Brown's in Swanage. Hattie Brown's been going since 2015. Swanage is quite a distance from here, unless you're going by the crow flies, but they still Dorset. Let's give this a try. Cheers. There's a lovely gentle toffee to that stuff. That's a nice beer. Very, very low level carbonation. So it's a cask beer they just poured out. Lightly hot. It's got really nice outside section. It's one of those, feels almost a bit European, where the sun's blazing today, but it's got a nice overhang, so you can get the sun on the tip of your feet but still stay in the shade. It's just situated on a high street. This is quite nice. I think part of the ownership of Hattie Brown's are they're based. There's a pub called the Square and Compass, which is absolutely fabulous. It's like dotted in the middle of nowhere. It's one for real walkers, like proper beers, proper pasties. You've got to work. You've got to really work to get up there. This beer would be fantastic up there. Yeah, it's delicious. It's called the Wash House because it's named after a former laundrette. So that's what used to be on here before they swapped over to a pub. They've got 3 or 4 cask ales, got some selection of bottles and cans in the fridge. Loads of gins, loads of wine. It's a really nice feel to it. It's quite busy inside, so I've had to pop it outside. You won't hear me otherwise. But yeah, sits right in the middle, just off the green. Absolutely fabulous little place. Really enjoyed it here. I'll probably stay for another beer before returning on the bus. Cheers. Got a late Victorian time 38-ton gun. Fired off 12.5-inch shells through there across the Solent. I'll put a picture up to see what the other side of that little display is, but absolutely massive. In the really sunny, if not slightly quiet, garden of the Lazy Lion, which is also on the High Street in Milford. I think it used to be the Red Lion. It's been a pub here since the 18th century, and I've been trying to kick it on since COVID. It's got lovely. I mean, the beer garden is lovely, and the pub itself is amazing. I am the only customer in here at almost 5 o'clock, which is a shame. I have a pint of Prelude. This is only 3.2%. This is again by Flack Manor, Romsey-based brewery. I've not seen this before, not had this before. Very, very light session ale. Let's give this a try. Cheers. It's lovely and smooth, classic cask ale. Very light, lemony texture to it, but it's not too watery for 3.2%. It smells nice. There's a lot of breweries doing very pared down ales these days, and that is impressive. For 3.2, there's a nice bit of flavour to it on a hot day. If you've got here and you're going to drink this in about 5 minutes, this is a classic beer to go for. It's a classic story about the Red Line in that Bunch was a bunch of rowdy customers, and when they were refused to leave by their landlord, he apparently grabbed his beehive, chucked it in and locked the doors and then waited till the screams subsided, and they agreed to pay their bill, and they went. Excellent bit of landlord management. I don't think you'd have to do it too much on this. You could drink this all day. I know they've been crowdfunding to improve the pub, but it looks brilliant to me. I think you're spoilt for choice in Milford, which might be one of the problems, but Laser Line, give it a try. Cheers. These are the additions, 19th and 20th century. I mean, it was quite important in the Second World War, this as well, in terms of tracking anti-aircraft and anti-boat guns. You might be able to see just there by those 4 chimneys, and because this is right on the sea, it's got a problem with the coast undermining the shingle, and unfortunately during COVID a large section of the fort has fallen away. English Heritage are currently in there sort of trying to build that back up. It's not been used by the military since straight after the Second World War. They stopped finishing it, but hopefully they can get it back into one piece. Welcome to the outside of the beach house. They've got a huge, great big beer garden out the back here overlooking the Strait of the Solent all the way to the Needles and the Isle of Wight, and it's tucked in a little basin just to keep you out of the little bit of the wind. It's a Badger Beers place. Dorset's main brewery, been going since 1777. A few of their beers, so we've got a Blandford Fly. This is a bit of a Marmite beer. Some people love it, some people hate it because it's spiced and it's got lots of ginger in it, but on a sunny day I think it's quite nice. It's named after the fisherman on the River Stour at Blandford, and the infamous Blandford Fly, whose bothersome bite can only be soothed with a spicy slice of fresh ginger. Looks lovely in the glass. Like a nice cinnamon sort of cakey sort of spice. Let's give it a try. Cheers. It's lovely, cool, crisp, and on a sunny day that little bit of ginger for me makes it nice and refreshing. The pub is also a hotel and a restaurant. It's absolutely massive. It's an absolute grand old building. It used to be called Westover Hall. I think it was owned by the Morris Carr family for a while. It's been a pub for the last few years though. Lovely, run by Badger. It's very nice inside. It's very tall but quite thin, so not as massive as it might look on first appearances. Sits on the edge of Milford-on-Sea, and it's a bit more chilled out. We'll head into the village green proper. I imagine this video might be at the end because we'll hopefully get in a few more local beers in between then. This is a grand old pub, lovely view, and cracking beer. Cheers. We are the Village Green Preservation Society. God save Donald Duck, Vaudeville and variety.